Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Amelia Lee. I-75 has reopened after a deadly crash this afternoon. Lexington police say a reckless driver was reported around 4:15 near mile marker 102. The Fayette County coroner says 52-year-old Kevin Daly was found dead at the scene. Police say 2 other people were taken to the hospital, with 1 person in critical condition. The crash reconstruction unit is investigating and will be following updates both on air and online at WYMT.com. Police say 2 men intentionally drove through a flock of geese in Harland. Now they've been charged with take of migratory birds and cruelty to animals. According to Kentucky Fish and Wildlife Law Enforcement, district wardens were contacted by city police about injured geese in the Village Center Mall parking lot. 1 of the geese died at the scene. The other injured goose was euthanized after being taken to a rehabilitation center in Hazard. The names of the men have not been released. The beginning of the fall semester through Thanksgiving break is called the Red Zone on college campuses. That's because it accounts for the majority of college campus sexual assaults. University of Kentucky Police Chief Joe Monroe says their department has a special victims unit with 2 detectives and a victim advocate that walk people through the resources available in the community, including the court process and UK's own campus resources.
Whether they want to press criminal charges or not, we still want to make sure that it gets reported and we get them the assistance they need to recover.
Chief Monroe says prevention during the Red Zone and all other times of the year is a group effort. With Labor Day coming up, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife has some tips on how you can stay safe on and in the water. First, Conservation Officer Cody Fox says to always wear a life jacket on the boat, even if you don't want to, but he warned that not all life jackets are the same, and you should only use Coast Guard approved life jackets. Second, he says not to drink alcohol on a boat because it's against state law here in Kentucky.
You're not allowed to drink out on the water. I know just about everybody you see out there is drinking, and we try to make that known that it is a public place. But if you are going to do that, have somebody else drive. Safety is our number one thing, and being under the influence of alcohol or drugs or whatever, and then you mix that with a boat is just really not a good idea.
He says if you are swimming in the lake, have some sort of flotation device with you. Keep an eye on the weather and do not dive in shallow water. Well, despite heavy rain putting a damper at the beginning of the day, hundreds of people made their way to downtown Paintsville for the Highway Labor Day Festival. With food, drinks, and music, folks gathered to make the most of the day. The festival replaces Alley Fest, which is hosted each year in October. Promoter for the festival, Jordan Pelfrey, says they wanted to continue on with the show.
We moved it up so we could have a little more predictable weather, and obviously right now we're having a little bit of rain, and it kind of delayed us a little bit, but show's going on. We got a full lineup tonight, full lineup tomorrow. So yeah, we're still rock and rolling.
Tonight's headliner was Emmy Russell, the granddaughter of Eastern Kentucky and Johnson County native legend Loretta Lynn. The festival resumes Sunday at 4 in the evening with Kentucky Headhunters headlining. Speaking of Loretta Lynn, folks gathered in the Van Leer community of Johnson County to unveil a new historical marker. WYMT's RJ Johnson was there for the unveiling and shares the community's significance.
A new historical marker in the Van Leer community of Johnson County is honoring part of the long history of coal mining in eastern Kentucky.
This new state historical marker joins over 2,400 other markers across the Commonwealth. And today we were dedicating this marker in honor of the community of Van Leer and the Webb family that played such an instrumental role in it as well.
Johnson County Judge Executive Mark McKenzie says with the marker being in front of the Van Leer Historical Society's Coal Miner Museum, it will serve as a good entry into the community.
Well, the museum is obviously a good first stop into the Van Leer community, and if you haven't made the trip here to take a look at this 3-level museum, you need to do so. I mean, it is unbelievable, the story that it tells about the history of this community, and especially with the scaled version of the town on one of the floors in this museum, it really puts it in perspective.
The marker is special for Patsy Lynn. She is country music icon Loretta Lynn's daughter.
Van Leer, as for our family, you know, it's home. And my mom and dad both came from here. Their parents worked in the coal mines here. It is just part of who we are. It's heartwarming to all of us. And to have the marker and, like you said, stretching across the highway, kind of telling the story of Kentucky, and to be a part of that story, my parents are just so proud. I know they are.
She says seeing the community continue to be honored in this way means a lot.
And even for me, who grew up with these stories and knowing this place, I'm just still sitting here amazed at all the things that have been collected, and it's a perfect segue into going on up to Butcher Holler and seeing the old home place and the company store.
This marker is just one part of a longer story being told. In Johnson County, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
McKinsey says they will continue supporting efforts into preserving parts of history within the county.